What's up, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Blindside Sports. Looks like we're back on that grind. I mean, 2 episodes in less than a week. That's pretty good. My guy Nick Wright is with me once again, and it's been a weird past couple of days since the last time me and Nick have done a show. Because if you guys remember, on Thursday, me and Nick we made a bet on the Super Bowl, specifically the NFC side of things. Nick said the 49ers. I said the Eagles. We have a DoorDash bet on it. If you guys don't know what a DoorDash bet is, it is basically that whoever wins the bet gets a free meal delivered to their house on the other person. So if I win, Nick's buying me food, and if Nick wins, I'm buying Nick food. That's basically what that comes down to. And the assumption was Jimmy G was gonna be there. So this is why we're leading with this, because on Sunday in the first quarter, something big happened. Jimmy G left the game with an injury. A broken foot or fractured foot to be specific, that could sideline him 7 weeks, and that's if the rehab goes right. Thankfully, it doesn't need surgery. So, Nick, we saw Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, home of Iowa State. Shout out Iowa Sam from Fox Sports Radio. I know he loves that. But Brock Purdy came in and didn't look too terrible against Miami and, the Dolphins and Tua and all that. So my question that we're going to pose for this segment is, do we expect Brock Purdy to keep this up? How in trouble are the 49ers? What's going to happen? What's our state on the 49ers? Nick, your wife's a 49ers fan, so you're very close to this, and I'm sure she's a Jimmy G supporter. She's probably really mad and sad.
Oh, yeah, she's devastated, yeah.
So, Nick, what you got on this?
Well, I want to start off by saying, hey, what kind of food am I gonna DoorDash you? That's number one.
Del Taco or Jack in the Box, baby.
Well, make sure you get your order right, because I'm not feeling too good right now because I wanted my free In-N-Out, but I'm not liking my odds. Brock Purdy came out, and you know what just annoys me? Because my wife is a big Niner fan, and she just always has good teams no matter what. And it's like their backup to the backup quarterback comes out, and actually his first Mr. Irrelevant, and he had no idea he was going to play today, and comes in and plays a good game. He was one of the last picks in the draft, something like that.
He was the last pick in the draft.
Literally the last pick in the draft. Okay. And it just, of course, in 49er fashion, they always have a guy who can step up. So, but there is no way that this is going to last. I don't think getting them to the Super Bowl. Can you imagine the Cinderella story that the last pick in the draft, not carries or maybe not even lead the team, but play well enough to get them to a Super Bowl? Man, that would be headlines all week long. And but I'm not liking those odds. I don't think Mr. Irrelevant is going to be good enough to get them to the Super Bowl. No way. Playoff football for a kid who is so raw this late in the season. Ooh, yeah, I'm not liking my bet right now.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. And so if the rehab goes perfect for Jimmy G, he can be back in 7 weeks. So that means the Niners would have to win the NFC, because that's 5 weeks is week 18, and then you go 2 more weeks, and that is the divisional round. So the Niners, because I think the Eagles are probably winning the NFC, so the Niners are going to have that wild card game to play with Brock Purdy. And it was one game. I get the Dolphins are a good team. They're a good story and all of that. I agree with you. I like what Brock Purdy did. I think it's a cool story. I just don't know if it can last. It's kind of the last pick in the draft. He showed that he could win that game against the Dolphins, but to me, you were saying how you're annoyed because the Niners always have these guys who could step up. Like a couple of years ago, Nick Mullins came in, had some good showings and all that. I think that's partially the beauty of Kyle, or mostly actually the beauty of Kyle Shanahan, man. That guy, yeah. And I hate to say this as a Seahawks fan, but we try not to be biased here on Blindside Sports. But man, that guy's incredible. And I said this earlier at the start of the year. That team is so good, and Shanahan is such a solid coach that they could put most quarterbacks, if they're average, can play solid in that system, and the Niners could still be fine. Because Jimmy G, I don't know what he's like outside of San Fran, but I kind of feel like he won't be the same. I think Shanahan has definitely elevated him. In terms of the playoffs, if I were betting on the Niners like you did, that one free meal, I'd be shaking a little bit too, because that's if the rehab goes perfect, 7 weeks. So chances are, like, just be in life and all that, it's not going to go perfect. Thankfully, he doesn't have to get surgery, but he probably wouldn't be at full percent. He have to get used to everything, get back in the swing of things, come back and play football in the playoffs. I just don't think that it's going to happen like that. I think Brock Purdy, he's going to have a couple solid games. What's up?
I give you a scenario. So can you imagine this kind of situation to where, let's just go into a world in the future where Brock Purdy actually leads them to the big game. Let's say he plays well enough in the playoffs and just shocks the world. Let's say Jimmy G is ready to go in the Super Bowl. Is that kind of Bledsoe Brady-esque? Bill Belichick went with Brady over, because Bledsoe could have played. He went with Brady. Can Shanahan maybe be like, maybe this Brock kid could be the next? Seems kind of mirror imaging a little bit. I know I'm reaching, but that would just be an interesting situation.
It would be interesting, but seeing what the Niners have done in the past, nothing shocks me. And if you're asking me that question, if I was Shanahan, what I do, it really depends on how he played in the playoffs. Because if he was playing all right and it was, strictly McCaffrey leading him, McCaffrey and Debo and that defense, then all right, maybe go to Jimmy G. But if he's playing solid, being a solid game manager, not giving up turnovers, not having bad decisions, I think I'm rolling with him. You had the momentum rolling.
I don't think anyone's said that yet, so I want you to bookmark this little part of the podcast just in case a couple months down the road.
Yeah, right.
And real quick, also about that game, do you know what no one's talking about that really bothers me too? A lot of people are really quiet about Tua once he actually faced a really, really good defense. Look what happens. I know that Bears defense is nasty. It could be generational depending on if they go and win the Super Bowl. But I mean, I'm just saying all the Tua talk went real quiet this week. Yeah, and he had 280 yards, I think, and one of them it was a 4-yard dump off that I forgot which receiver it was for them. Just took it to the house, and it was like, oh my god, it was a 4-yard. I think one of my hot takes in football, yak needs to be like a separate stat, like not in a quarter. Like if a quarterback throws 2 yards and someone just runs it for 80, that shouldn't be like an 80-yard touchdown. That should be like a separate stat. Like anyway, that's just my random thing I just had to say.
Yeah, that's a hot take. I don't know how I feel about it because I never even thought about that till you brought it up. Because I understand both sides of it. Where like, okay, yeah, the quarterback works to make the play and all that, but then again, it's like these little dump offs. It's all the receiver. So, but I don't know how.
I think it should be a receiver stat.
I don't know how they count that, but yeah, Brock Purdy. Anyway. If he leads the Niners to a Super Bowl, that is crazy. Talking about performance, I really like what he did. I think it was kind of, what it reminds me of, and that you're probably gonna hate me for saying this, but it's not as extreme. It could be more extreme, but kind of like Justin Herbert getting called up right then and there as a rookie, comes in and does good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably not gonna last like Herbert. I just have my doubts, but he did it, and that's what matters. And who the Niners have next week, Nick? They come to Seattle week 15 Thursday Night Football. But
they have Tampa against Brady.
Yes, they have Tampa. That is a huge game. I think. That's right. Because Cavino and Rich yesterday were saying how Brock Purdy is half of Tom Brady's age.
Imagine this kid,
how about that?
This kid's first actual start is going to be against the GOAT of all goats, man. Like I can't imagine how.
How much pressure is probably on that? Yeah,
I know.
But we'd probably all be hammering the Brady bets. Oh, Buccaneers are going to win this, and then some stupid Niners crap goes down. Like I don't know. We'll get to that in a minute too. The Tom Brady stuff from last night, because that was really interesting.
Classic, just vintage.
Classic Brady. Yes. Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright on Blindside Sports. Get Nick on Twitter @isNickWright. Get me at EmmettNoC04. Yesterday, the Carolina Panthers released Baker Mayfield, putting him on the waivers, and a little over 24 hours later, somebody claimed him, and that claimer being the Los Angeles Rams, right? The Los Angeles Rams claim him, and I'm probably in the minority on this Baker take, but I think if Baker gets put in the right situation, he could do solid. I'm not sure about the Rams because they're just injury after injury after injury, but it can't hurt because McVay's a good coach. I could see him go. The Niners were probably like one of the teams I really wanted to go to yesterday. Like if we had the show yesterday, I would have said the Niners, but the Rams, they went out and did it, and it makes sense because Wolford's injured, Stafford's on IR, Bryce Perkins, you can't trust him. I mean, he did not look solid that first game. This is for Baker. Like this isn't really a huge signing, but for Baker, this is a chance for him to kind of get back in the swing of things and play decent enough game managing football. And for the Rams, this is just whatever, it had to be done. Not a big long-term signing. He's not going to be there after this year. It's just a little 1 year thing. This is for Baker to kind of prove, all right, can I get another job or am I done in the NFL after this year?
Yeah, I mean, the Rams are basically just giving him an olive branch. Be like, hey, I mean, we're in LA, we're at SoFi, we got to give the fans something, even though we're not going to make the playoffs, and it's one of the worst Super Bowl defenses I've ever seen. I mean, I know they had a lot of injuries and everything like that. I'm not going to kill the Rams too much, but it was a really terrible Super Bowl defense. I mean, one of the worst I can remember. And, I mean, it annoys me as a Charger fan because, of course, I thought it was going to be a free win in case the Chargers make a little last-second push here. But now with Baker there, anything can happen because they're playing with house money. They have nothing to play for. They're just going to go mess around out there. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Baker guy at all. Like when you said earlier, and that's what kind of annoys me, like, yes, he needs the perfect situation to be a good quarterback. I mean, that could be anybody. But, I mean,
look at Geno.
Yeah. And he gets cut, like, not like in this point of the season. I mean, I was never big on him when he had that loaded Browns team for years. I mean, I don't hate the guy. I just was never thought I just didn't think he was that great. And yes, you're right. He needs to put a system around him, and I'm sure McVay's going to help him out a little bit. But I mean, yeah, it's just the Rams are putting in a Band-Aid for now for the rest of the year, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm kind of shocked he got signed this quick. I am. Yeah, I mean, I get it was a trade last year. I get that, but it took him a while after Deshaun Watson was in Cleveland for them to find the landing spot for Baker Mayfield, which didn't work out. You can say what you want to say about the Panthers and all that, but Baker's a Ram now. It's not that big of a signing, but it's a quarterback and it's kind of big. I wouldn't say big-ish name, but a heard of name quarterback. So we kind of have to talk about it, being in sports media and all that, being that we're on a live show right now. Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright, Blindside Sports. Why don't we dive over to Monday Night Football, where Tom Brady did Tom Brady-like things again. The Saints were up 16-3 in the fourth quarter. I believe 8 minutes left. They had that first drive, or no, it was sooner than that. They had that driver. Tom Brady threw his first touchdown. It's 16-10. Then they get the stop. Brady comes down, throws another touchdown, and he technically did it twice because Donovan Smith held. And I was like, oh, come on. You really
had two. I think, was he called 3 times last night? He's called like at least twice. It was crazy. Yeah.
So it was. It reminded me of Jermaine Ofetti back in the day. But so that happened. And Twitter last night, and I get that Brady did his thing. I get that. I just don't think, I think part of it's his team, man. And I think part of it is there's something just not clicking with Brady and Todd Bowles. No. And he's lost half his guys. I mean, but then again, this is where Brady comes in and does Brady things. It's like Brady had Twitter open in his head and saw all the hate he got, came through and just threw 3 touchdown passes because he did that game-winning touchdown twice to win the game. Typical Tom Brady fashion. You said you're riding the Brady train until the wheels are starting to fall off the Brady train. And I think that's not a bad take because this guy divorced his wife to stay in football. Brady's going to ride the Brady train until every single wheel is falling off that train. I really do. I mean, it's weird. He's 45 years old and he's still doing this at a pretty solid level, pretty great Tom Brady level. Is crazy to me. It is. And then actually, you can go first on this, but the next part about this whole story is these rumors of Brady leaving the Buccaneers. How legit are they?
Well, let's go. I want to talk about the game for a minute because I just can't believe the things in motion that had to go right for the Bucs was just unbelievable. I mean, Brady. I mean, yeah, I said that I'm going to follow Brady till the end, but I mean, he played terrible for 3 quarters, and even the third quarter, I tweeted out. I think the end might be 9 for him.
Or 3.5 quarters.
Of course, he made me eat my words. I said it too soon. I bow down to Brady. He's my favorite non-Charger player ever. But I mean, the things that had to go right. I mean, what was the Saints coach doing at the end there? And the major play, their running back. God, I can't remember his name on top of my head. But
Mark Ingram,
huh?
Mark Ingram.
Yes. Did you see the play where he literally went out of bounds a yard early? I mean,
yes. Did you see his apology on Twitter?
No.
I'll send this to you.
But he pulled his.
It was so heartfelt.
I mean, it's like he couldn't have gone one more yard. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. And it was just an implosion, and everything likes to connect for Brady like that, and it was just a classic ending. It was fun. It was just a fun game, and now the Bucs are in the driver's seat because that division is so bad. They're gonna go into the playoffs, and Tom Brady in the playoffs is scary. And like I said on a couple shows ago, I think like the Bucs are going to be scary in the playoffs. Yeah,
because Brady does Brady things. It's not going to be that team, and I wouldn't be shocked if their playoff games are a little bit ugly. I tagged you in what he sent to what he apologized for, what he said, but Brady is going to do Brady things, and it's not a fair. It's a fair statement to make because Tom Brady's Tom Brady. He's going to do what he does best, and that's come and clutch up in the last quarter. Clutchest player in history of sports, I think.
Yep.
There's no debate. Like you can't really like who's a close second. Is it even that close in your opinion?
I mean, I was even young for him. I mean, I've heard the tales of Jordan from my dad. Yes. I mean, yeah.
I think Jordan's like really one of the only debatable athletes right now. I mean, delusional Seahawks fans back in the day were saying Russ, but that's crazy and far fetched.
Wow.
It's really far fetched. Do you have any more thoughts on the game, or you want to go to this apology? I think you said you kind of summed it up where the Saints were they weren't looking that good either, and then that Mark Ingram just stepping out of bounds 1 yard short was just the nail in the coffin. Dennis Allen having bad coaching. It was just not a recipe to win for the Saints, and especially when you're playing against Tom Brady. I think
a lot of props to the
defense
as well. The defense really didn't get enough credit for that win.
Yeah, the Saints defense finally showing. I mean, it's a little too long, too late, but what people were saying at the beginning of the year, they're showing hopes of that. So many people were high on that Saints team just because of that defense. I mean, Demario Davis had a feast of a game yesterday as well. Like, that dude was all over the place.
Yep.
So the next question, Nick, this is ridiculous. Tom Brady, people are saying he could end up in New England next year. Are you buying that or not buying it? Do you think Brady's a Buccaneer, or do you have another team he's going to be taking snaps for next year, or is he retiring?
Well, number one, there's no way he's retiring. There is no way 1 year off of, after the season that I don't think he broke up with Giselle to play one more year. He's going to play until literally someone's going to have to tell him you can't do it anymore. So no, there's no way he's retiring. I honestly can believe it. He doesn't look his body like, even though, when he looked great, he, daps up his teammates. He loves his teammates. He's just still like his body language just doesn't look like how it was the last couple of years he was in Tampa. And when he won the Super Bowl, I don't know if him and Todd Bowles is clicking. And by the way, I almost hit send tweet before Tom Brady saved Todd Bowles' behind, because no one's really talking about how Todd Bowles in his first year as Tampa's head coach, no one's really talking about he's not doing that good. So, yeah. But I obviously hit X pretty quick there. But no, I honestly, God, I don't know. I just don't know if him and Belichick are that tight.
That's what I'm saying.
I think about it. The more I think about it, I think he stays one way or the other. I think he's going to stay.
I think is going to have Todd Bowles fired over anything. And part of it too with the Patriots is, yeah, you have that defense, but is it really an upgrade? Like, those weapons, I don't think are an upgrade from Tampa Bay. I think they're a downgrade, right? I'm not trying. If I'm Brady, he's gonna be 46 next year. I'm not trying to go to a team without a couple, like without Mike Evans, like a Mike Evans type player. So I think,
and they don't even have like an offensive scheme. I mean, Matt Patricia is like their quote unquote offensive coordinator. I mean, come on. I mean, the more I think about it, yeah, you're right. You know, he's got more stars there. I mean, and they're dealing with a boatload of injuries, and I think Brady still has one playoff run left at least in him. So I think, yeah, he's gonna stay in Tampa.
Yeah, and he's gonna stay in Tampa, and he's gonna. I think I wouldn't be shocked if he said he gets mad and Todd Bowles has to get fired. And I personally think, remember when people were having those conspiracies that Brady and Bruce Arians were not getting along?
Oh, well, that's obvious.
I think that's bullcrap. Oh no,
I don't think they like each other at all.
I don't think Brady just likes his coaches.
Arians talk about him on the radio and TV shows and tweets. I don't think there's a good relationship there.
I don't think Brady has good relationships with his coaches, man. I think Brady's just like, I'm gonna come in, I'm the GOAT. F you, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yep.
And he's one of the only players to where he can do that. I mean, LeBron can't even do it. I mean, look at what LeBron's doing now. I mean, it's terrible. Like LeBron demanding the Lakers trade for Westbrook. I think LeBron has a role in that Lakers front office, but Brady's one of the only guys to where he can kind of be himself and not really, I shouldn't say listen, but not really be cool with the coaches and be fine, because that's just the level of Tom Brady. But yes. I wouldn't be shocked if the Buccaneers and Brady, they had a little meeting and they said, okay, we got to say bye to Todd Bowles. Like it just doesn't seem like it's clicking over there. I also think the Buccaneers are going to try and get a couple pieces in free agency or in the draft for that offensive line. I think you have to. The older Brady gets, like I've like seen people say he like can't move as well, and that's just logical. A 45-year-old man, like he needs a line to throw that ball, and I think the Buccaneers, if they do that, they couldn't be in for another run. I mean, that division, the Panthers are rebuilding. The Saints, I don't think they know who they are. And then the Falcons are rebuilding. I think the Falcons are going to be their biggest competition next year. But, yeah, I think Brady's staying in Tampa. But I think there's going to be some moves, both personnel-wise on the staff and personnel-wise for the players that are going to happen during this offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, good point about the division, too. It almost feels like when he was on the Patriots and he had that terrible division, he barely had Jets, the Jets for maybe a few years there. He always dominated that division. And yeah, he's in an absolutely weak division again. So yeah, good point.
Yep. Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright, Blindside Sports. Now, we weren't going to get to this originally, but it kind of broke in the middle of like when we were about to record. Anthony Davis left the game with a flu. Nick, you have a theory on this. Take this one away.
Well, I mean, I just think they're going to cover up for something because, how do you get flu-like symptoms during the game? Like, what is – okay, I mean, couldn't you have felt it before, an hour before kickoff? And, I mean, I know, there's still a lot of COVID protocols. I'm sure they take tests and everything like that. But, I mean, if you feel sick, shouldn't he have told someone? I mean, I just don't buy that he just got an illness in the middle of the game. So – I mean, and here's the thing, too. If it is true, I mean, of course, that's better than him actually being injured. But now his immune system's breaking down, like his body. Like, come on, BD. Like, just when you're in he's on like a Wilt Chamberlain type of stat run and looking like an MVP candidate, a very top MVP candidate. So, as long, all right, if he has a stomach bug, he's feeling it now, and he has, maybe he just has to, just be in the crapper, like, he's like pull a Paul Pierce or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we were saying before the show. I'm like, it is possible. I'm not going to rule it out that he actually is sick. I mean, hey, could have had something bad before the game, but you brought the point. Well, these guys, like, wouldn't have felt it then. And not, thinking about it now, you shouldn't be eating right before tip-off. Like, it's probably 2.5, 3 hours before if you're going to have, like, a meal that could mess up your stomach. Like, a snack's not going to give you food poisoning or, like, a little, like, granola bar or whatever they eat before the game. But I mean, he could be on the crapper. I mean, that's something, but it's just something that Nick had an interesting opinion on. I kind of wanted to quickly dive into it. Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright, Blindside Sports. Nick, Why don't we go over to SoFi Stadium on Sunday, where the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams played football? And I have a thought on the Seahawks team, man. I do.
All
Because
right.
I found the thing that we struggle with the most, and that is run defense, Nick. We can't stop anybody on the run. It's terrible. Horrible.
Hey, my friend, really quick, don't say anything about that because the Chargers right now have the worst run defense since 1959. So I know a little something about bad run D, but continue.
Hey, yeah, fantasy advice. If whoever the Chargers are playing against running back wise, pick them up because it's about to be that time where the playoffs are getting into full effect. It's about to be that time. I'm just trying to get you some fantasy points. Sorry to do it to you, Nick, or whoever the Seahawks are going against. I mean, Cam Akers torched us. Finally had a good game. I mean, Josh Jacobs a week before. I'm a little scared for Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman. I'm not gonna lie. If Cam Akers can beat us, I think they could. And that's the thing where I'm a little worried about for the Seahawks, and that's one of the only things is their run defense. Geno, yeah, he's had a couple mistakes here and there, past couple games.
No, come on, man. He dropped 360 with 2 tutties, man. Like Geno's looking great. Come on.
Yeah, and he had that pick, but I'm not worried about Geno at all. He's the only bad crapper of a game he had was that 49ers game, and that was against a historic defense that Nick said earlier. So I'm not worried about Geno. I'm not worried about the line. I'm just worried about that run defense. I mean, we are getting torched every week on the ground. I mean, nothing can be as bad as the Chargers, like Nick said, but still, we're still getting torched. It's still, work needs to be done the offseason, and I think we're going to go some sort of D lineman next year in our draft with one of our firsts. Thank you, Russell, and thank you, Denver, for sucking. We're going to get a great pick.
Well, you're already talking about picks. What I mean, are you out on the playoffs?
I'm not. I think we're going to make the playoffs, but I don't see us going far. I see us getting eliminated first or second round. I hear you. I bet
you had them. What do you have? Did you have them winning 4 to 5 games? I mean, this should be this should be an amazing year for you.
I know. I like this. Literally, the only thing I have an issue with the Seahawks team is that run defense. Everything else, Geno absolutely wrecked my expectations. Absolutely flushed my head down the toilet and told me to kill he proved me wrong. Nick, I was so fed up on Twitter in August when they announced Geno would be the starting quarterback. He proved me wrong. Pete Carroll proved me wrong. I thought Pete Carroll was washed. I thought he wasn't good anymore. He proved me wrong. That everybody proved me wrong. But the one thing is that run defense, and that's crucial, right?
Of course.
I'm very glad that we had the season we did. In Seahawks fashion, we had to lose 3 running backs on Sunday, which forgot to mention that when we were talking about the game. But what's Walker's status? I haven't really seen anything too crazy on. I think it's an ankle, but it's just the run defense is the issue. I think we're gonna go to the playoffs. I think we're gonna put up points. I think Geno's gonna actually have a good game in the playoffs, but I just don't see the defense making enough stops for the Seahawks to be able to use it to their advantage to win. But hey,
that's a great thing. It's a great thing about NFL playoffs. I mean, I don't think anyone's ironclad in the NFC. I know the Eagles look amazing right now. I don't know if I trust Jalen Hurts in the playoffs. I mean, I think you guys could be sneaky. It's a sneaky little pick, I think. I mean, Dak Prescott.
I can't trust him.
Old Tom Brady. I mean, the NFC ain't loaded. In my opinion. I mean, I think the NFC in the playoffs could be almost anyone's game. I mean, would I have the Eagles and the Cowboys maybe favored? Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's another thing too with the playoffs and for the Seahawks is I could see Micah Parsons just disrupting our whole day. I could see that Cowboys defense is another great defense. So if we get Dallas in the playoffs, I think that's gonna be a little rough. But yes, the Seahawks have. The only people I've known who predict the Seahawks to do good this year were delusional Seahawks fans.
Right.
I was just trying to be real. Nobody expected this. This just kind of came out of nowhere where Geno is, an MVP candidate. I mean, look what he's not going to win it, I don't think, but you could argue it because talk about that. Look what he's done for that team, man.
I think Pete Carroll, I think it just shut it down. I think Pete Carroll's coach of the year, like right now.
Yes.
So, I mean, I know Daboll's having a good year with Daniel Jones, but
No,
Pete
it has
Carroll
to go
has a
Pete
way
Carroll.
worse roster. And him, I don't know. I just think Pete's easily the coach of the year right now. It's unbelievable.
I agree. Nobody expected this, and people are calling like me that after this year, if there's a better option, move on from Pete. But no, the gum chewing legend himself is here to stay, and he's here to win a coach of the year. I really hope he does. Like I think I could see Nick Sirianni winning it just because the way the media is infatuated with the Eagles. Not a lot of people are like really, really talking about Pete Carroll winning coach of the year, but no one really talks about that award. But like from what I've seen, the hardcore NFL fans and NFL media members aren't really talking about it. I think it has to, like, Pete Carroll. Nobody expected the Seahawks to do this. I mean, yeah, Geno could have, like, they could be fine. They could have had this record, but him elevating Geno is key. I mean, Geno has been a backup for years. He couldn't do anything in the league. Comes to Pete Carroll. They trade Russell Wilson, and he's having a career year. And he's a top 10 quarterback right now. Like, it's crazy. Pete Carroll, I'm sorry for, I know we're going very long on the Seahawks, or we always go very long on our favorite teams, but Pete Carroll, I'm sorry for bashing you. You are, it's crazy. Pete Carroll, you better win coach of the year.
Yep.
Why don't we go? How do you feel about, you were right about the Chargers Raiders. I didn't want to ask you how you feel because you called it. You're probably numb to it at this point. Justin Herbert.
What really bothers me is that they should have still, even though, I mean, they started off the first quarter lights out. I mean, they got a pick six for the first time in literally 2 seasons, and everything, Josh Jacobs fumbled, got the ball back. And, It was the third quarter when it was 13-10, and Austin Eckler, after a 15, 20-yard run, fumbles the ball, or Herbert might have threw to him, I can't remember. But he fumbles the ball when he was going down, and I just think that just took all the air out of their lungs. And I mean, Justin Herbert, people who watched the game, had literally 1 second in the pocket to throw because he had 4 missing linemen. And that's why I thought they were going to lose, because there's just so many injuries. And the defense played good for the first half, kind of. But 4 missing linemen. Herbert was sacked 4 times. Hit 10 times, pressured 20 plus times.
Yeah, he was. There was no escaping for him.
And there was still he still put up over 300 yards in a touchdown throw to Keenan Allen in the fourth quarter to pull it within 7 when Herbert winged it 50 freaking yards.
That was the most Justin Herbert play ever, man.
I think I mean, he has a couple, his highlight reels are, there's a laundry list. But I mean, but anyway, I knew they were going to lose this game. Charger fans think the season is over. I don't. It's all kind of, you have no idea. Even if they don't make the playoffs, can they please just beat Miami to shut this one media person up? That's that's all I want.
I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to say his name anymore.
And if they beat Miami, I think, because the thing is, I think the Jets, for that last wild card spot, it's going to be the Jets, Patriots, Chargers. I think the Jets are going to crumble under Mike White. I don't buy Mike White one little bit.
I don't buy the Patriots either.
I don't buy the Patriots either. I mean, the Jets are at the Bills this weekend. Loss. If they lose and the Chargers win and beat the Miami Dolphins, it's going to be interesting. Because then, I mean, the week after, they got the Titans, and with literally the worst run defense ever, almost, against Derrick Henry, is going to be a nightmare.
You guys.
So the season is on the line for the Chargers on Sunday against the Dolphins. It's Tua versus Herbert. And it's going to be, it's going to be crazy to watch. I'm nervous as hell about it.
Yeah. And it's not even that, like, it's just, you got to be nervous for that defense to just get burned. The weapons that Miami has.
I can't see Tua having 2 bad games, especially against this horrible 30th ranked Chargers defense, along with the worst run defense since 1959. I mean, just Herbert again has to put on a superhero cape. And trying to just carry the Chargers.
We're going to have to hit a show later in the week because this is such a big, the Dolphins-Chargers game is going to be one of the better. It's just very, very crucial. But I wouldn't be shocked if this was a shootout among shootouts. I mean, I don't see much defense happening in this game, especially on the Charger side of things. I think Jeff Wilson is going to have a good game. I think I think Tyreek and Jalen Waddle are gonna have pretty solid games. I just expect a shootout.
I mean,
I'm excited. It's my number one bookmarked game of the week. That
you also, I mean, the thing is, Justin Herbert. I mean, Tua has the best receiving core in the league, and it's not close. And Justin Herbert, I doubt Mike Williams is probably still going to be out. Keenan Allen is, he's getting up there in seasons played, even though he's only 31, I believe. And again, they only had the last couple of weeks. They've had 4 wide receivers on the roster, 4. So, I mean, there is no depth.
A couple of them used to deliver our DoorDash, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, just the other night. So, I mean, Herbert just doesn't have much to throw to, and he's still putting up 3 hundo a game. The fact that he's 4th in passing yards in the league right now.
That's crazy.
I mean, he would be.
That's not getting talked about enough.
Keenan, and people who say, "Oh, Herbert has a loaded roster," is like, I just want to shoot people. I mean, just shoot like animals.
It's such a
that. Sorry, I was a little extreme. My bad. But I mean,
I almost had an extreme one earlier with Geno Smith.
My bad.
It's been that day.
I was too much. But anyway, like when people say he's a loaded roster, like where is the low? Show me this loaded roster. Fun fact: not one game, the full season. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen have not played together in one full season, one full game this whole season.
You're right.
And I just think he would be first place if he had Mike Williams and Keenan. I mean, look, since Keenan came back last couple of weeks, I mean, he's making plays again. So, I mean, it's just crazy what he's had to deal with all his injuries. And by the way, people just forget that he's playing on fractured ribs still. People just forget that all of a sudden. So what he's doing with what he has around him, and people just aren't realizing that enough, and it just drives me absolutely insane.
Yeah, if this was Tua, and I'm a Tua guy. Like I think it's a cool story and all that. But if this was Tua, the media, this will be on every sports TV show 5 days a week for the first 2 segments at least. Justin Herbert, like it just flipped the situations, right?
Yeah,
like it's like what Justin Herbert's doing is not getting talked about at all. 4th in passing yards with DoorDash drivers and former McDonald's employees as your receivers, who get called in off the practice squad to come play ball at SoFi Stadium. Justin Herbert, he's making those plays. I just don't hear anybody talking about it, like to the extent it needs to be. Like it needs to be. It's not. I think because the Chargers they've lost some really weird games. They've had all these injuries. I think that's why it's not getting talked about. But man, Herbert has been on a tear this season. 4th in passing yards with fractured ribs. DoorDash drivers, no line. The defense, I mean, they don't set him up kindly at all. The Chargers kicking curse. Talk about that. Like the Chargers, no matter what kicker it is, you could bring Justin Tucker in there, and he probably wouldn't be Justin.
Oh, he'd
Tucker.
probably shank one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm starting to hate it because history repeats itself. And I saw a couple not memes, but just stat things where, I mean, it's starting to, in the Chargers organizational way, it's starting to feel like a little bit how Phillip Rivers started. So, I mean, Phillip Rivers actually started pretty hot. I mean, the team was so good they got to the playoffs. But I mean, the way his career started to go, no help, no depth, a lot of stats, but not a lot of playoff wins. And that's I'm starting to feel a lot like Phillip Rivers, starting to feel like a mirror image here. So, I mean, the talent level is way higher with Herbert. It's more higher of a ceiling. But, the Chargers just don't – I mean, they're just not showing that they're giving him the help that he needs so far. And that's what's frustrating among fans. Yeah,
and it's they're making these moves in the offseason, bringing in Khalil Mack, bringing in Corey Linsley a couple years ago, drafting Rashawn Slater. But it's just injuries and coaching, man, are just the devil of the Chargers.
Yep. Oh, really quick, let's do a quick score update. With Anthony Davis out, the Lakers are only down by 2 in Cleveland right now. Looks like LeBron is having a game.
Hey.
And, well, kind of. But, hey, they're in the game right now.
Yeah. Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright, Blindside Sports. Lamar Jackson. I kind of forgot to put this in the notes as well, but Lamar Jackson, a couple days ago, left the game with a knee injury, so the Lamar getting paid conversation is coming up again. Nick, what just take this one away. I have takes on this.
Okay, I am a Lamar guy. There's a lot. Lamar gets a lot of hate. I mean, I hate the whole he's a running back thing. Like, no, he can obviously. I mean, he's won a unanimous MVP. I'm a Lamar guy. I love Lamar, And it just sucks. I hate to see him go down, not only for my fantasy team, but also because he bet on himself this year for his contract. And I think Baltimore deserves the Baltimore should pay him. He needs to get paid. I mean, what is what's their alternative? Brett Huntley right now, their backup.
Tyler Huntley.
Thank you, Tyler. And
which is a better Huntley.
Yeah. I mean, praying for someone in the draft who's going to take a couple years to develop. I mean, come on, you got an MVP level caliber quarterback right now. And the fact that he got hurt if this means they're not going to pay him because he's, quote unquote injury prone now, I just feel bad for him because I think he just deserves to get his money.
All right. That's a fair take. And yes, the Ravens should pay him. I think it's a little extreme. And I have an issue with giving long-term contracts to, if I'm a franchise, I'd be scratching my head of getting a long-term franchise to a running quarterback. It's not even Lamar's fault that he's injury prone.
No,
it's
I get
the
that
nature.
Too.
It's the nature of the sport. I'd pay Lamar, but I'd do something to where after year 2 or 3, you could move on, right? You can move on because let's say Lamar, he can make it to like week 13, but it's always around week 13. He has knee or ankle problems. So I could see like why they're doing that. But Lamar, like you said, I actually like Tyler Huntley, but Lamar Jackson at full level if you build that team right, we've seen it. That dude can be scary. Like that dude can annihilate defenses. So I feel like you have to do it. At the beginning of the year, and I said the same exact thing. And I think the only reason he's asking for this much money is seeing that Deshaun Watson got that contract. He's like, if a guy's getting suspended and has all these allegations under him gets this money, I can get this money. So I think if he sat out, it would be different. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just think I know the injury risk is there. I know he's a running quarterback. I know it's a risk, but I mean, again, the alternative. I mean, if you get rid of him if you let him walk, it's going to let Huntley start, and while you groom another quarterback that you might not even get for a couple of years. I mean, it's kind of telling your fans like, hey, we're not going to be a playoff oriented team for a couple of years, and I don't think they should do it.
No. Brady, no, I'm playing.
You surviving there? You all right?
Yeah, a little cold. You feel me? So.
Oh yeah, I know I'm in California, but it's like 50 degrees right now. I'm freezing.
No, like the cold.
The what?
The sickness, the cold.
Oh, you're sick. Oh, I didn't know that.
I just have a little cough. That's all.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go get some water real quick. If there's anything you want to talk about, go ahead. So I don't sound like I'm dying throughout the show.
Yeah, good Lord, Emmett. Don't die on me.
Nick Wright will be hosting.
All right, yes. Now I'm going to host. All right, so let's go back to some Chargers talk because Justin Herbert, once again, got screwed by his team. If Austin Eckler did not fumble in the third quarter to make when it was 13-10, I think they would have won that game. I think it totally switched the momentum. I mean, there's just so many things that led up to them choking that game. And I still think the Chargers have a shot to get into the playoffs because if they beat Miami this weekend, that means they're 7-6, and I don't think the Jets are going to pull off a win at Buffalo. So they can go on a run. I think they're probably going to get smoked by Tennessee by Derrick Henry. Then they have the Rams with Baker Mayfield. Then the Denver, who's, by the way, one thing I actually want to talk about, the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson, it's not getting talked enough. Let's just pivot to Denver now. Enough about my Chargers. You guys don't care. Russell Wilson is not getting talked enough about how terrible he is. I mean, 9 points. They lost. Again, that Denver defense, how did they look him in the eyes in the locker room? It is unbelievable how good this Denver defense is. All Russell has to do is score 20 points a game, and they're one of the top AFC teams in the league. If he was Seattle, Russ, they might be the best in the AFC right now. And no one's talking about it. I mean, I have no idea how. All right, you back?
Yeah, now you're dying.
No.
Your voice just got a little raspy, that's all.
Oh, no. I'm just saying, like I was just saying really quick while you were gone, we got to talk about Russell Wilson a little bit because that's killing me. No, that's not being talked about enough.
Yeah, how about that? We can dive into that. Talk about an utter bleep show. This whole season.
10 points. He scored 9. The defense held them to 10 points Like, and Russell only puts up every single week. He's putting up like a baseball number. Like,
Yeah,
it's. I mean, they would be a top AFC team right now.
agreed.
I mean, how does that Bronco locker room even look at him? I mean, this is the biggest fall from grace I've ever seen in sports. I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I know it's only 1 year, but let's just say he has another bad game or bad year next year. Is he a Hall of Famer? Because he's getting exposed without Pete Carroll in that
right.
Seattle defense.
I think if Geno wasn't doing this well, like it wouldn't be like maybe who knows, but seeing the success of Geno Smith and the just absolute bleep show of Russell Wilson in the Denver Broncos offense, it's a fair question, right? It's sad when Russell Wilson has more bathrooms in his home than he does touchdowns. I know we touched on this last week, and I'm sure our guy Isaac Lowenkron has made jokes about this too. I'm not up early in the morning to hear it, but we know he has. It's such a good meme that it's sad, but it's so funny that Russell Wilson has more bathrooms in his home than he does touchdown passes. I mean, it's sad. Like it's just embarrassing. I think the Broncos are feeling just horrible about it, and we fleeced them. Like I said this the other show, we just fleeced the.
I remember Broncos. Too when it happened. I remember Coop texting me about Russell Wilson, and I was mad because I mean, literally, I thought they would win before the season. I thought they'd win the AFC West, and I really did because. And by the way, they should if Russell played even like half of what he had in Seattle, like they easily. So I mean, that defense is legit. Everyone talks about the Niner defense. I mean, that Broncos defense is right there with them. Yeah, and it's just crazy how. I mean, I just think the media should be talking every day about how just terrible he is. I've never, a superstar can fall from grace this easily. I mean, just this fast.
It's interesting. It's very, very weird. I don't even know if it's Nathaniel Hackett at this point, right? Nathaniel Hackett has had some horrible moments throughout the season, but I don't know if it's him. Like I
mean, he's pretty bad. He definitely cost him a couple wins, I think. But I mean, oh man, I mean,
including
it can't be all coaching. This can't be all coaching. That's for sure.
No,
and that's the thing. I mean, Emmett, we starting to look like if they continue down this path. I mean, this is going to be the worst contract in sports history, not even the NFL. I mean, it might be up there because, I mean, the Denver Broncos are trapped right now. And it's just crazy how, is this going to expose Russ after being with one franchise his entire career? And, I mean, I know it could be a little bit of a shell shock going into a new system and new things like that. But, I mean, you look on a couple years ago when Phillip Rivers went to the Colts after being in his career, and he led the Colts to the playoffs and played damn well against the Chiefs in the first round. So, it's just – and by the way, it's not like Russ is an old man like Phillip Rivers was. He's still young. So, it's just insane.
He's younger than you, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's like 33 or something.
Yeah. It's just absolutely mind-boggling how, like, I was – just because I thought the Chargers, Chiefs, and Raiders were better teams at the start of the year. I saw the Broncos going last. But I did not expect Russell Wilson to be this bad, right? Nick, if we go back to like week 7, week 8, when we first, we were just a couple weeks into doing this thing together, we were both like, there's no way he's going to be this bad for this long. Like, you were picking the Broncos like virtually every week at that point because Russell Wilson,
they had to win at some point.
Yeah, but nobody, with how Russ was in Seattle, it was just unheard of for him to be this bad for this long, and he's doing it. I think if this keeps up for another year, then this is easily one of the worst contracts in sports history, the worst trade for a team in sports history. I mean, that pick, if you had that top 5 pick or that top 10 pick, depending on what happens, who knows? Like, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. And I'm saying it right now. Let's just say he has another disaster year next year.
Like, would you rather have had CJ Stroud and just kept like Drew Lock and had a crappy year, or like one of the or Bryce Young, like one of the top quarterbacks, like right? And it's kind of sad to say that because Russell Wilson was one of the all-time I want to say all, but one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, top 5, top 10 last year. Now he's gone to below average. Like it's just mind-boggling. It needs to be talked about more. I don't get why Russell Wilson is doing this, but
I'm saying it right now. I think if this happens in the next couple seasons where he doesn't show any progress and he's still terrible, I don't know if he's gonna get in that haul.
Ooh.
I mean, I really think there's a legit chance that happens if he plays this badly for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I could. Ooh, that's kind of crazy, but I feel like it's so easy to get in the NFL Hall of Fame that like he probably will. Definitely not.
Well, for quarterbacks, it's different. I mean, I don't. There's starting to soften up a little bit, but I mean, I thought Russ was going to be Russ, and I mean, I had him as a first ballot. From when he did in Seattle, he should have 2 rings. But if he's continuing, he's still not in his prime, but he's not much of that past it, and so I don't know.
You have to wonder also with like all this social media crap that Russ is doing, and I know Justin Cooper hates that. Is his head like how in the zone is his mind in a football side of thing? Like I don't think like is his head fully in the game of football right now? Like,
yeah, I don't know. No, only he knows.
Yeah, but that's we can't make an assumption of what another man's thinking, but that's what it looks like. It's just not looking good. Nobody expected Russell Wilson to be a bottom tier quarterback this season, and that's what he is, right? The Broncos defense is setting everything up for him. But he could have scored like 14 points and won the game. And it's not just one time. Like every single game this year.
I mean, Teddy Bridgewater was literally better last year. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I actually think Justin Cooper himself could play quarterback better than Russell Wilson at this point. I mean, and Coop's like 5'2". Like that's how bad Russell is.
It's not that short, but yeah, it's a little bit overstated. He's like from the Maller Militia. He's not that short.
Is he like 5'8"?
I don't know, like 5'6". I don't know.
Oh, I have a couple inches on him, but yeah, he could play better quarterback. I think Rob Parker could come out there and throw dots better than Russell Wilson is at this point. Like it's just like I'm not even trying to do a victory lap, but unless I am, I did it last night on Men's Show too. But it's just weird. I think this is gonna have a big little huge check mark on Russ's legacy, right? It's so embarrassing. Let's be real. Like KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton aren't bad receivers, right? You have that good defense. Like Russell Wilson hasn't been good, but just this bad, it's just crazy to me. Like there's so many winnable games as you talked about. Like what the Seahawks game that was Hackett last week. Russell Wilson being Russell Wilson, not having good games. That's just been the theme for the Broncos. The reoccurring theme is Russell Wilson in that offense not doing good, defense balling out, Broncos losing. That's been the theme all season for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. I mean, literally 20 points a game. And that's not even good. That's not even asking for much. 20 points a game, and they'll have 10 wins. 8, 9 wins right now at least.
Yeah. How about that? Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright here on Blindside Sports. Is there anything else you want to get into real fast, Nick? Or
I really want to get my Russell Wilson thing in there. So, yeah. No, I mean, what else you got?
I think we covered Lamar, we covered Baker, we covered the Niners, we covered my Seahawks, talked about the Chargers. But we're going to try and get a show in before Sunday because
we got to do our picks.
Yeah, we have to do our picks. This is a big NFL weekend.
Real quick, actually, before we go, do you buy, and again, we'll get into this in the next show, I just want to know your opinion really quick. If the Packers win out, they might have a shot at the playoffs. Do you think that's possible? Aaron Rodgers'
schedule
looked like he was back. But anyway, we'll save that for another show. I just think if the Packers win out, it could be interesting.
Yeah, I just don't. From what I've seen with Rodgers this year, I just don't see it happening. But this NFL has been so just off this season that I'm just numb to weird stuff happening. Like that's how weird of a year it's been.
Well, I mean, the Chargers. I mean, like we have an opposite thing. Like I thought the Chargers would be good. You thought the Seahawks would stink, and now I'm greatly disappointed. You're very happy. I feel like those two teams like flip-flopped of what they should have done. It's odd.
Yeah. So stay tuned here on the YouTube channel, Blindside Sports. Turn on your post notifications if you're not a Twitter or Instagram person, because next show, we're going to have a lot to talk about, lots of picks, and I'm sure there's going to be some big stories that drop. I mean, every day, and we're running out of time here, but we can get into baseball too. Actually, screw it. Let's get into it real fast.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Okay, yeah. That's what I wanted to bring up. How could I forget? Did you see the whole John Heyman gaffe? That was.
Oh, my God.
That's going to be an all-timer. And by the way, have you
Arson Judge
news, right? I keep kind of refreshing for some Judge news. Is that one of the all-time gaffes in sports reporting history? That was a classic.
It goes from Arson Judge to the Giants, then to his name's not Arson. His name's Aaron Judge, John. And then, never mind. I jumped the gun. My bad. And
unbelievable.
It's weird because was John Heyman a couple years ago, back when Trevor Bauer was a free agent? Was it Heyman or Bobby Nightingale who said, I believe he was signing with the Mets, and then a day later it was the Dodgers? Like, I don't know why this always happens with MLB.
Yeah,
MLB reporters, man.
Let me see really quick. Just let me see if I think I like this. Oh yeah, here we go. I got it right here. So Bob Nightingale. Yep, you're right. Bob Nightingale, Trevor Bauer, and the Mets have reached a deal. And then Ken Rosenthal. This was last year. Padres close to acquiring Max Scherzer. So.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember that.
But I think this one tops those. I think this one tops those.
Just the name typo alone is what makes it the best. Arson Judge.
Can you imagine that this next season, like everyone's all the Yankees fans are gonna have like arson, like paraphernalia in some kind of way. It's gonna be
it's gonna be great. Oh man, that's why you gotta love Twitter. Twitter's been so funny today.
That's the thing.
That Heyman stuff.
I mean, do you think? By the way, do you think Judge is staying? I mean, I think he's staying. I mean,
I do too.
These Giants rumors. I think Heyman might know something, and he jumped the gun by saying, "Oops, I said it too fast." But
I just don't trust these baseball guys, man. This is like the third time it's happened.
Isn't that not? I'm never advocating for someone to get fired, but I mean, he's got to be. You can't just make a mistake like that.
No, baseball
get a slap on the wrist.
The MLB reporters need to just. I don't know, man. Like I just every time when this is a once a year thing. I actually no. Trevor Bauer and Max Scherzer happened in 2021. It was the same year. When that happens twice in a year, I get mistakes happen, but that's why you gotta you can't jump the gun too quick. That's the thing in media. I don't know that it's pretty. The typo adds insult to injury to not being on the Giants for Aaron Judge for John Heyman. I don't think he's gonna get fired, but no. Man.
Are you a Mariners? By the way, we never talked baseball. Are you a Mariners fan?
All right, so. I like the Mariners, but I'm a bandwagon Dodgers fan as a joke. I made a joke back a couple years with Bo and Bursch because I like swing shifting. I was like, okay, I stepped out of baseball for a couple years. I wasn't a baseball fan. Quarantine is what brought me back to like actually watching it. Like I'm not like a big fan like you or Roberto Flores. Like Roberto's one of the biggest baseball fans I know, but I'm a casual fan. I follow all this stuff, but
I mean. Here's the thing. As an Angels fan, I watch when Ohtani pitches or, I'll come across a game and if Trout's up, Ohtani's at bat. I can't sit there and watch 9 innings of baseball anymore. I can't do it. So
it's terrible.
But I mean.
Imagine trying to watch 18 when your team's in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, with the Dodgers, you guys have like no pitching. I keep waiting for the Dodgers to get guys and like you guys, lost, what's his name to the Cubs. I forgot his name right now, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't see. Bellinger. There you go.
And then Trey Turner to the Phillies yesterday.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, you got Trey to the Phillies.
11 years for a shortstop, Nick.
Do you know what? I want to see chaos. I would love to see. I mean, as an Angel fan, I want Correa because we need a shortstop. Even though he was that cheating Astro, I want to see the absolute chaos on social media if Correa goes to the Dodgers because that would be glorious. That would be. Can you imagine the madness on Twitter about that? Oh my!
I could already see like 5 Bo Benson tweets just instantly popping up right when the notification happened.
I mean, that's the thing too. Do I feel shame saying I would want Correa on the Angels? Yes, but I mean, we haven't had a good shortstop. I saw an Angels stat where we haven't had a shortstop make an All-Star since like 2013, and before that it was like in the 60s. So I mean, I would love another good shortstop again. So, but I just cannot believe. You know what? I know we're going late here, but I just cannot believe that these teams are giving 10-year deals out to these almost 30-year-old players.
That's what I'm saying. And
did the Pujols contract not teach anybody? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Apparently not. I mean, especially for a shortstop, too, which is the most wild part about all of this to me is 11 years. He's age 30. He's going to be 41 when this contract is up. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, you can give these guys a lot of money, but give them like a 5-year deal and then reevaluate things. Like, I genuinely don't understand it. Like, why, if you're a player, why would you want to know your 11 years is in Philly? I mean, let's say the Philadelphia Phillies do some just absolutely just stink it up. Like, let's say this doesn't go to plan. Let's say they regress. Let's say something happens. You have like 11 years just on a contract is wild. But hey,
and especially when they're almost 30. Like they're not going to play until they're 40. Like, it's just that backload. It's like the back end. It's just
not everybody's pool host.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, but he's stunk. But the thing is, he stunk
until he went back to St. Louis.
Angels, basically, except for like 2 years. But that's a whole nother thing. Can't get into it. I can't stand him. That's all.
Yep. Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright, Blindside Sports. Also, quickly, Clayton Kershaw returns to Dodgers on a 1-year, $25 million deal. That happened yesterday. Trying to wrap my head. The Mariners acquired Colton Wong from the Brewers a couple days ago.
Well, you guys, I mean, one of the biggest busts ever. You guys had Andrew Heaney went to the Texas Rangers. By the way, the Rangers got DeGrom, so the Rangers kind of are looking. They're making moves.
Yeah,
so
but can DeGrom stay healthy?
Yeah, well, hey, to me, he's worth the risk. So I mean, the
I
Rangers
agree.
Getting him, I don't know.
Especially with how bad the Rangers have been too, you kind of have to.
The AL West is. I mean, who knows what the Angels are going to do every year? But I mean, the AL West is looking to be competitive, except for like Oakland. So I don't know.
This has been Blindside Sports. I will keep you guys updated when we will have another show because it's going to be a great one. So much to talk about. It's just that time of year. Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright. Get Nick on Twitter at @isNickWright. I'm at EmmettNoC04. Like the stream, share it with your friends, and turn on post notifications. See ya.
Later.